This episode of Instant Speed Podcast is brought to you by FAB Cards. Located in Utah, FAB Cards is a smart choice for all of your flesh and blood needs. Prepare for the battles you'll face through the world of Wraith by gearing up at kfabcards.com. That's KAYFABECARDS.com and get all of the cards shipped directly to your door. Hey, if Magic or Pokemon is your jam, they've got you covered. FAB Cards has a plethora of TCG options, sealed products, and singles to keep you collecting and keep you competitive. FAB Cards, be who you want to be. This is the Instant Speed Podcast, episode number 70. Our guest today is Jacob Bertrand, FAB enthusiast, actor, and one of the stars of Cobra Kai. And of course, this episode always brought to you by FAB Cards. Let's get to the news, friends, as the Battle Hardened in Bologna has wrapped up. Our boy Bravo, chest out, puffed up, wins it. Luca on Bravo took out Oldham in a Guardian final and got across the finish line on a dominated crippler. Is there any better way to close it out with Bravo? How about some outsider spoilers? Now, we did hear a little bit about stealth. The stealth mechanic, which everybody was talking about, was kind of teased a little bit in a very creative way by LSS's own rules and policy god. That would be Joshua Scott. Dropped a little tidbit on us, and if you were not paying attention, well, you didn't find a little bit of the hidden stealthy text in there, which we've got on screen for you, and digs in a little bit about what stealth and the stealth mechanic is. What about spoilers? Cards themselves? Well, there's some cards that were leaked out, and what is more important, frankly, are the tokens that are associated with them. Things like Blood Rot Pox, Inertia, Frailty. These are going to have significant implications on what Flesh and Blood's meta and the decks and all the shenanigans. The Realm Gaming Network is putting together quite a circuit of their own, as lots of those dates are being circulated, as it's a pretty big deal, frankly. Lots of prizes to be had, lots of stops along the way. I'm going to be in Chicago for the Min-Max Game circuit stop. Realm Games is also pairing up with other awesome entities out there like Green Tree Sports Cards and such. So I'm looking forward to meeting a lot of you out there at this circuit, but check it out. Go to realmgamingnetwork.com for more information to see if there's a stop along the way for you. Maybe you earn yourself one of those cool invitations to the Realm Games circuit, one of the big tournaments with one of those awesome speakeasy stuff. There's so much going on. Boy, oh boy. Competitive Flesh and Blood does not relent. How about more competitive Flesh and Blood, like the Goliath Gauntlet? Number 2 is happening right now. You can go check it out on this YouTube channel if you're watching on YouTube. That would be youtube.com/983media. We're getting to the crux of it, frankly, as these semifinals are shaping up to be quite the powerhouse foursome of players, as a lot of them, I'm not going to spoil it for you. You want to go take a look at it yourself, but there's some really big names with some pretty awesome gameplay left to be had. It is one of my favorite things to take in. The Goliath Gauntlet 2 is underway. How about the Patreon here at ISP? We have some really cool stuff here for as low as $1 a month. You can kind of give me a pat on the back and say, Flake, you're doing a good job, but we want to support you. Tier 2 Plus gets things like the podcast early, ad-free, and access to the Go Again segment. And I will tell you, the reviews of Go Again have been pretty damn good because we do not hold back. It is uncensored. It is unfiltered. The guests go all out. And some shade is oftentimes thrown in this segment. So if you do like to sort of double down on your ISP content, I do recommend you go take a look at those Tier 2 Plus Patreon levels. Tier 3, what do you get? Well, all that plus my weekly blog, and sometimes I drop some more than once a week, but some good pieces there as well. Nonetheless, friends, Jacob Bertrand, actor, FAB enthusiast, and just all-around good guy, joins us, and we talk about his experience at the calling, making friends, the community, as well as what it's like to be an actor and play cards. So we are joined on ISP 70 by Jacob Bertrand. ISP is proudly supported by BCW Supplies. Yeah, all my cards, they fit snugly into a perfect fit, and then we slide them right into an Elite 2 sleeve. Those cards, hey, well, they're resting easy and protected in my Deck Vault 100. Ooh, it's a nice one. Well, all of my spiciest gems, well, they're on display in my Z Folio LX. Yeah, you could treat your collection with love by going to bcwsupplies.com. Use the code ISP10. Get 10% off all of your orders. Oh, yeah. And hey, maybe cards might not be your only thing. Are you into coins, comics? Maybe you want to show off your record collection? They've got you covered. Use the code ISP10 at checkout for 10% off your BCW Supplies purchases. BCW Supplies. Protect, store, display. The Instant Speed Podcast welcomes one of the latest and greatest faces on the FAB scene. Also, just prowling all the tournaments, apparently. And you could be found also on a show called Cobra Kai. It's Jacob Bertrand. How are you, Jacob?
What's up, man? How you doing? Good to see you again.
I'm doing well, dude. It was quite the wonderful little meeting we had. And I do have to sort of pull the veil back on this a little bit because we met in Indianapolis at the Calling. I think you were my round 4 opponent. I could be wrong.
Round 3 or it was 4. It was 4.
It was 4. We were both in the dumpster bracket, which was great. Yeah, it felt good. But what's fascinating about this is I sat down, I saw my pairing. The pairing said Jacob Bertrand, and I thought it was Jacob Bertram of Realm Games, who owns Realm Games. And I was like, Jacob's playing? This is incredible. And then you showed up. You're like, dude, I'm so sorry I'm late. I was like, and I hadn't. I'll be. I didn't know that who you were or whatnot. Yeah, I was like, after we played the whole game, I was like, this guy's a pretty rad dude. We had so much fun. We laughed a lot, and it was only after they're like, dude, that's the guy from Cobra Kai. I said, no way, I'm like, pretty sweet. That's pretty awesome. But I thought it was Jacob from Realm Games. So I felt like an absolute tool bag. But yeah, it's.
I didn't think that at all. When you're like, oh, Jacob Bertrand, are you sure this? I was like, oh no, yeah, this is me. You're, and I don't know. It was just a great game. It was just fun. You stomped me, but I still had a great time.
Well, that was the case. There was some, we were there for fun at that point. When you're when you're in the bracket of 1 and 2, you're basically, one of us was not going to day 2. That's what it was. And at that point, it was just let's just have a good time, which was what we had, which was a lot of fun. You played Kodachi Fi.
Kodachi Fi. Yeah, baby.
Yeah, there's some style points on that one. Definitely some style points.
Yeah.
I was playing Oldham, so I was a Captain No Fun, unfortunately. But
yeah, it was a sad day. We hate to see those, but it's okay.
Oh, we're gonna spend some time. We're gonna spend some time shitting on Oldham and some Oldham players. That's gonna be in the Go Again segment. So if you want to hear Jacob do a little shit talking, that's gonna be fun. But before that, one of the major questions that has been asked, and we're gonna jump into this right out of the bat here. One of the questions is basically from one of our Patreon subscribers. This is Justin Manuel, and he's asking the basic question of how did you get into Flesh and Blood? And this is part of the first timers on the show. I like to get the origin story. So talk to me a little bit about how you got into Flesh and Blood and your journey through your card game kind of career.
Yeah, so I started playing card games when I was really little. I started off in Pokemon, and then in middle school went to Yu-Gi-Oh!, and then in high school started playing Magic, and just got super into Magic, and got all my friends into it. And I was just kind of doing my shenanigans of trying to get friends into Magic, and I've been hanging out in LA a bunch with some of my friends, and this kid Aiden, who's a writer at USC. And I was like, Aiden, you got to play Magic. It's super fun. And he's like, okay, yeah, I'll learn it, but you should try this game, Flesh and Blood. And I had heard about it. I'd seen profs, how to play video. I kind of knew about it. And I was like, okay. And he just pulled out 2 Blitz decks, and I was on Prism, and I think he was on Bolton. And I was like, this is sick. I was like, are there any ninjas or cool shit like that? And he was like, oh yeah, there are. Actually in the newest set, there's a ninja. So that day we just drove to our LGS. I bought a 5 Blitz deck. We ran a bunch of games, 5 versus Bolton, and I won a bunch of them. And I was like, I really like this game. And then we invited his cousin Sam over, and we played until 3 a.m. using Sam had a bunch of decks at that point. And we just drank a bunch of whiskey and hung out. And like the idea of three floating our YouTube channel like was formed that night, and yeah, that's just kind of how I started. We started going to local armory events, and the community for Flesh and Blood is so awesome. By and large, everyone is so freaking nice. And that was something that's like the main thing that made me stay in the game was like the gameplay was really fun, but the people that were at the armories and that I would interact with were really, really awesome. So.
Community is a really big sort of launch pad for a lot of people to just stick with the game. A lot of people will try a game, but they'll typically dump it if the community is kind of, you know, garbo or in that situation, or just like unwelcoming. And that's one thing that I found from Flesh and Blood, even through its third year now, and as it's grown so widely, so exponentially, you know, you're gonna let some bad apples in. You're gonna let some, you know, saltier types, you know, sort of get into the game as it's successful. But for the most part, I think it's been a quite you know, the toxic air has sort of dissipated in this realm and has never really gotten to the point where, you know, you have to say like, okay, avoid these people or avoid this. I hope it's sustainable. Do you think that this is something that can kind of be maintained over time, or is it just an inevitability that eventually there's going to be the salty
people coming in? I don't know. I think because I don't know, there's one of two ways, right? Like it could totally happen where just, you know, all these kind of toxic, sweaty guys come in and, you know, kind of ruin it. But I think because the community has already been established as like, hey, no, we're chill. We have fun. Like we play competitive games, but we're not like angry about it. I think when, you know, those type of toxic people come into a community like that, there's not a lot of room to be an ass, you know? So at least that's what I hope. That's
Don't
what I
challenge me, dude. Don't challenge me.
Yeah. You're like, dude, I can do it. I can fucking do it. No, I don't know. I think I'm super new to the community. I think the community is like kind of set the tone for, you know, the do's and don'ts. And I really like it. Like it's awesome. Like it's so great going in and playing a new game and like at a tournament or something. And, you know, people are just there to help you out and they want you to love the game. They want you to get invested in it.
All right. So I have a big fat confession to make. My confession is the fact that I have never seen an episode of Cobra Kai. Like that's, and not only that, but in typical
Flake. That's fine.
I
forgive you.
I appreciate you because when I met you, I was like, this guy's fucking awesome. But and not knowing anything besides the fact that we had played a 30-minute game together and just laughed like most of the time and had a great time afterwards. And it was only after the fact. And what's great was like when I asked you afterwards, I'm like, oh, dude, like, would you like to be on the podcast? You said, yeah. I said, I got to get home and watch some Cobra Kai. And then Netflix decided to do the password sharing, you know, move of just crushing everybody. And I'm not going to lie. Yeah. I was using my Netflix account is from Wisconsin. So like
nice.
That, yeah. So
sure.
That's gone. Like that's absolutely gone. And the day it was like Saturday. I'm like, all right, let's sit down. Let's jam some Cobra Kai. And it's like, your password is, I'm like, no.
Oh no.
And I'm like, is Jacob Bertrand worth $9.99 a month? And I was like, not today. No, it was. I didn't get to watch it. I know, and like I can get absolutely flamed and railed about this, but I prefer Jacob Bertrand the person because we had a freaking awesome time, dude. And then we went out for dinner, and that was freaking amazing.
It was super fun.
It was, and
that was super impromptu too. Because I was just walking by, and Logan was like, "Yo, you want to come out to dinner?" And I was like, "Oh, I don't know. Sam's casting. Like, I think I got to be here for another 2 hours." He's like, "Oh, we're going right now. You should just come and then come back." And I was like, okay, sure. Actually, I'll just kind of tiptoe out of here and Sam won't know.
Yeah. Scale of 1 to 10. How good was that dinner?
Dude, that's like top 5 steaks I've ever had in my life. Actually.
Yeah. St. Elmo's in Indianapolis.
Indianapolis, man. Who would have thunk?
Yeah, we got the whole. I got like I'm obviously I'm Canadian. I got the whole U.S. experience because I got to go to Indianapolis, have a lot of food, eat a crap ton, then get caught in traffic because of a shooting. It was like the ultimate experience.
Oh, that's right. Wait, is that why there was traffic?
That's what I was told, was that there was like someone got shot, so the police were there and closed down a bunch of streets. So, yeah, full experience. Now,
I guess that kind of is.
If we're counting,
American.
Yeah, I mean, like, look, there's a lot of great stuff that has come about from the USA. I'll when I figure some out, I'll tell you. But the the move is like I've been to Philadelphia for I was working a Hearthstone event. There was a shooting there while I was there, like on the same block that I was staying. And now Indianapolis, it's just like, and it's great because like some of the people, I say it's great. That's not what I want to say. Please don't.
Yeah.
Don't say that.
No, that's not great. The other part I'm going to say is great.
Correct. Yes. Let's preface that. The part that's great is like the people that I'm there with, for instance, like my buddy Mike Torek, when I was in Philadelphia, he's like, oh yeah, that'll happen. Don't worry about it. I was like, that'll happen. Okay.
What do you mean that'll happen?
Yeah. You make it sound like a bird crapped on my jacket. Like, no, there was a murder that happened like there, like right there. And I was like, it is what it is. Jacob, talk to us a little bit about three floating, because you mentioned how this was an idea that essentially spawned amidst a pool of whiskey at 3 a.m., which is oftentimes where the best ideas spawn from. Talk to us a little bit about what three floating is, the mission, what you guys do, who's involved, and all about that.
We got me, Samuel Byrne, and Aiden Kwasniewski. That's sort of the three of us. We are a gameplay YouTube channel, and our goal is to just sort of make really, really quality gameplay content and sort of like fill a gap that we thought was missing of like fun, insightful content. They told me not to spoil stuff because we have like some cool guests coming on, but we have some cool stuff in the works. Got some really fun stuff in the works. But yeah, we're pretty much a gameplay channel. We do vlogs for different callings or different events that we go to, and the vlogs they're pretty fun. I have a lot of fun making the vlogs. Those are super fun. Those are
always a lot of fun, especially when you can just kind of go off the cuff and
yeah,
express how you feel. Now, I would it would be a crime against my journalistic integrity if I didn't press you on some of those leaks that you're saying, some of those spoilers. You don't have to tell me, obviously. I don't want to press here, but maybe you can give us a little sprinkle of what's to come without getting in trouble. We don't want to get you in trouble.
Yeah. We have some of the best players in the world coming on. That should be cool.
Okay.
And some big people from outside of Flesh and Blood who are very big in other card game worlds.
Love it. That's great. And like the cross-pollination is always what's good for the game. And
yeah, great for the game.
There's like, you came from Magic, or you played a lot of Magic, you played Pokemon and stuff like that. What I've noticed about certain other games is that there's like this tribalism about it where our game is good, therefore every other game is bad and wrong and stuff like that. Did you feel that making the transition? Was there any kind of resentment amidst some of your Magic friends and such? Because I've seen some of this, it might have been at the like first sort of foray into Flesh and Blood in the 2020, 2021, where there was a lot of skepticism about the game, and once it started to succeed, there was a lot of resentment to a degree. And I'm not saying that's the majority, but there was certainly a very vocal aspect of certain communities. Did you feel that? Did you notice that on the transition?
I did. It was split in half for two reasons, I think. I think two reasons. One reason because some of my friends were like, oh, what the heck, like a different game? Like, what are you talking about? We play Magic. Like, we are Magic players. Like, that's what we do. And then this was also because I was like, hey, you guys should also try this game. Like, it would be fun. We should just try this new game. They're like, no, we're Magic players. And then the other half were like, I don't have money. Like, I've already sunk so much of my money into Magic because it's so expensive. I don't have funds to just invest in another game, which, I think is valid. That being said, I have been able to get some of my friends into Flesh and Blood, and I've done this 3 times where I just look up the art for Mangle and I'm like, come on, don't you want to play this game? I'm like, come on. And we're like, that looks sick. Yeah, that would be pretty cool.
Righteous Cleansing. You just literally like
cutting it. Like a lot of, I hate Spectre cards. Like, but the Spectre cards look sick. Like, they're really cool.
The artwork on Flesh and Blood is really damn good. That's always a big part of it, right? When you're getting into a game, like the first thing you think of, it's like when you're looking for a new card game, it's kind of like Tinder when you're just being like, well, yeah, like the card game, the pictures are kind of garbage, so we're just gonna skip over it. Like that's a true element to it, and that's something that I think Flesh and Blood did a good job of, is when you see a card like Righteous Cleansing where a dude is literally cutting another dude in half with a hammer, with a freaking hammer. Like, well, the physics on that is like I would love to see a Mythbusters episode where somebody's like, how much force is necessary to cut a body in half with a hammer?
Yeah.
Oh, anyway, it is Valentine's Day. We're recording this on February 14th. I've got my Valentine's Day shirt on. I don't know if you could check this bad boy out. Guess which one
shit.
I am. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, yours is definitely better than mine. Mine is more of an expression of certain social statuses right now. Regardless,
his neck like slightly off to the side.
Yeah, you see him. He's just kind of like yeah. I don't know if he's just kind of looking at his shoes, saying, "Look at my sweet shoes," or he's just so damn depressed, or he just might be in gamer hunch mode, where it's the final sort of push in an Overwatch.
I want to say he's in gamer hunch mode. That man has his priorities straight. I think that's what it is.
The optimism that you bring every day, dude, it's the best. It's the best. But
hey, we're here for each other, bro.
I'm going to absolutely do some delicious content stealing, which is what I'm all about right now. We're going to go to,
love it.
You damn well know. I'm going to go to my good friend, Elaine Hammontree, who is, Elaine Hammontree is one of the co-hosts of Pitch Perfect podcast alongside Melody Likes. It's a great podcast. She's also a wonderful human being. I've got all kinds of funny stories. She's obsessed with pickles, but she posted something where she said, "Give me your best Valentine's Day FAB related pickup lines." I'm going to read some to you and I want you to rate them. I want you to rate them.
I was going to say, this is a great segment.
This just came at me and I like, Elaine, thank you for the free content. You will be sent exactly $0. $0.
You get credit though.
All right. So this one from Patrick Shaw. "You must be Glint the Quicksilver because you're giving my sword go again." Rated on 10, man.
That's like an 8. That's pretty clever, I feel like.
Oh, you're setting the bar high, man. Like we're gonna have to move the goalposts at a certain part here.
Yeah, okay. Somewhere better than this.
I've got one. This one's from
from
Kaylee. Kaylee saying, "Are you a Bravo main? Because you've been dominating my thoughts since you walked in."
That's like a 3. I'm sorry.
I'm
sorry.
That one was kind of so. Let's see.
It's on flavor. I don't know. Maybe call me lame, but I think if you're gonna do like a punny like pickup line. If it's dirty, it's funnier. I'm sorry.
That's why we're going to the next one, which is Logan Peterson. Logan.
Oh God.
Yeah, you ready for this? From Logan Peterson. "Hope you're not a Dash main because I'm looking for a smashing good time. But if you are, I could be down for some high speed impact."
It's the third part of the pun. Yeah, that's like a 9.5.
9.5. So we're still the elusive 10. We're still the elusive 10.
I'm waiting for one.
I'm trying to find some, like there were some really, really good ones. No, these all suck. I'm sorry to say. There's a lot of like smash with big tree or swing with big tree. And I'm like, yeah, that's kind of meh. There's like, these are all, hold on a second. There was one from Blevins.
Oh God.
Blevins because Blevins and I were in the backseat of that car just making Michael Hamilton memes nonstop. Okay.
That was the best.
Well, we're gonna get into that. We're absolutely gonna get into that.
Are we really?
Yeah, we are. Last one from the pickup lines. Again, thank you, Elaine, for giving me free content. This one from Blevins. Are you a fatigue deck? Because you're making me want to stop playing games.
Ooh, you know what? I like that one. I like that one's like, hey, baby, like I'm trying to get serious.
Exactly. He's kind of like just sort of slip sliding in. Okay, give it a rating.
Blevins, I'm going to give you the 10. I like that you're a relationship man.
Listen, I've met his girlfriend. She's a wonderful human being as well. Blevins just coming in with the, are you a fatigue deck? Because you're making me want to stop playing games. Those are solid. So thank you, Elaine. Happy Valentine's Day to everybody out there. But not bad. Do you have one that you want to maybe just off the cuff?
Man.
Like there's,
dude, I'm trying to think of like
Oh, that like there's arg smash and like there's a lot of like low hanging fruit that you can kind of just peel off the
I know.
tree.
I'm like, I don't want to grab some of those.
All right. Well, you know what? Think about one. Let it percolate a bit. We can always return to it. Maybe.
Hold on. I sort of have one. It is kind of low. It is kind of low hanging fruit though.
It's on the stack though, but like, let's see if this bad boy resolves.
Okay. I have the punch. I need to think of a good.
All right. It'll come to you. It'll come to you.
Yeah, it'll come.
It'll come to you. We're going to revisit this because what we want to do right now is dip into what, in my opinion, is the greatest thing to ever come out of Flesh and Blood, which is this brand new persona of Michael Hamilton. Again, Michael Hamilton, if you're listening to this, which you're not because you're practicing, and you are the greatest player of Flesh and Blood, and you're also one of the nicest people in the community. There could not be a better representative of Flesh and Blood than Michael Hamilton because he designs decks, he wins with them, and he's also a very kind and nice person. However,
I gotta say, I went out to dinner with Fino Black, and he coined the term Champleton, and that's like the only way I refer to him now, and it's just the best. I think it's great.
Champleton's a good one. Fino has created a decent one there. He is the angel of death. Like there's no question about it. For those who are unaware, Michael Hamilton, we were in a car. It was myself, you, Blevins, and Caroline Alvarado, and also apparently a whole bunch of disgusting dismembered mannequins.
Half-bodied, no-legged potato-looking things. Yeah.
Yes. I don't know who I felt worse for, me and Blevins in the back seat, or that poor parking lot attendant that you just kept yelling at, and not yelling at.
Lights out. She's taking us. She's kidnapping us, please.
For those who don't know, we're trying to get out of this parking lot.
Jacob, shut up.
Carolina's just trying to pay her parking, and you're in the passenger seat, leaning over, being like, "She's kidnapped us. Please help us. Send help. Tell someone. We're not here." And the poor old lady is like, "Jesus fucking Christ! Like, just go along."
Confused.
Yeah. So the Michael Hamilton meme is essentially, for those who are unaware, it's that Michael Hamilton is the angel of death, and much like, sick children have their Make-A-Wish and, they want something to lift their spirits. A lot of them are like, I want to see Star Wars before I die, or the new Star Wars or whatever, and like they get a screening of it, or they meet John Cena or whatever. So we discovered that perhaps he is so damn good that people on their deathbed request to meet Michael Hamilton, but he is such a stone cold killer assassin that he's the one who pulls the plug. Like, that's the thing. So, and he does it in such a way that he'll drop kind of like one of those, like, I guess it's another X2 drop for you there, bucko, and then just pulls the plug on somebody.
Fatigued another one, huh? Well, I think when how the joke first came up, I forget if it was Logan or Blevins who was like how funny would it be if a kid was like, I want an esports hero, I want an esports legend to come, and it's just Michael shows up and he's just like, hi.
Yeah.
It's like standing at the door and the kid's like, no, please just give me another day. Come on, I swear. And he's like, he's like, no, I'm not. I swear.
Yeah, it's you can visualize it because he's so, it's like that episode of The Simpsons where the devil turned out to be Ned Flanders because which is the least person that you expect him to be, and
you expect it, yeah.
And yeah, so I it was me who said he would be the one that they request, but it was Blevins who was the one who said, yeah, but he's the one pulling the plug on them and saying things like, say hi to your mom for me, and he's like, my mom's still alive. Oh, you'll see her tomorrow. Like something like that. It's like, what are you doing, Michael Hamilton? Meanwhile, he walks in with his
Hamilton.
He just uses his gigantic check that he earned at Worlds as like a surfboard, and he comes in like the Silver Surfer and just.
No, that's what he does. He has the cutting you in half with his check. That's how he takes you out. It's just him. He's just standing there with the check, and he's like,
instead of a scythe, it's his check.
It's his check. It's his world champ check. Hey, dude, that's the world champ difference right there.
And he just puts another notch on it. Another one bites the dust, bitch.
Just adds another zero.
He's like, you think that's dollars? Those are souls. It's like, oh God. 100,000 souls. Michael Hamilton's got his work cut out for him. Oh God. Yeah, we're not good people, Jacob, because
unfortunately not.
We're not, but we have fun, and that's what matters.
You know what? I think Champleton would like that joke. Maybe not actually. Maybe he wouldn't like that joke. But I think somewhere deep down he'd give a little chuckle.
Oh, he would definitely give a little chuckle. But then he would murder you with
and then he would pull out his fucking jacket.
Yeah. Which is funny because I picture it like almost like a clown car where like he just pulls out his wallet and the check is folded up in his little wallet and he keeps unfolding it and it takes him like 10 minutes, but it's finally big and then he just slices your throat. I feel like that's how he plays Icelander, right? Takes his time and then just murders you.
I guess that's true.
Yeah. It's all good. I do want to move into I want to move away from making Michael Hamilton seem like a callous murderer. Relentless. But
he's the sweetest man in the world. I think that's why it's funny.
Yeah, that's it because it's
the
like
sweetest. Yeah,
it's such a
of it.
Well, we're kind of like such a long departure from his actual personality because he cares. He's just a nice dude. He just when the chips are down, he will slice you like right in half, just tear you like in half like a phone book. All right, Jacob. I came in here with no plan, man, because I figured you and I would probably get lost in the weeds talking about all kinds of other bullshit. But this has been
I love it.
A lot of fun, and you playing cards and such. You're on set for Cobra Kai. You're on set for other projects that you're working on and such. Do you get a lot of chance to? Do you bring your cards with you on set? And can you just talk a little bit about where maybe your card gaming life intersects with your professional life as an actor?
Yeah. It varies. Sometimes you'll get like 2-3 hour breaks and you usually know the schedule kind of ahead of time. So those days I'll definitely bring my deck. Every once in a while, if we're just like really feeling like getting some games in, we'll bring our decks, set them aside like on a table, like play for 10 minutes, they'll call us the set, and then we'll like leave the board state as is, like leave our hands there, come back, like, okay, whose turn was it? Okay, you just attacked, I blocked like this. Okay, yeah, like we're good, like let's keep playing. And I was always kind of a nerd. I was super, super into Pokemon. I really, really liked anime back when anime like wasn't cool. It was, everyone just thought it was hentai. Now, rappers and UFC fighters like anime, so everybody likes anime. Not gatekeeping anime. I think it's awesome that people love anime. But back when it was lame, I really liked it. And I was like, oh man, like I don't really want to talk about this stuff, like these card games on set or anything, because these are like cool actor people, like they but just a lot of the kids on Cobra Kai are super awesome, and I'm super tight with a lot of the people on the show. Sholo, who plays Miguel, is like a brother to me. We actually have a podcast called Lone Lobos. You guys should check it out. Season 2 is going to come out soon. But I was like, you know what? I'm just going to like tell my friends, like, yo, you guys should start playing Magic. And people who aren't necessarily like nerds have grown to love like card games. And so I kind of went from thinking card games were like more of just like a nerdy thing to like, you know what? I think like most people would have fun playing card games if they just sort of got over that hurdle of like, oh, it's like, it's too mathy or it's too complicated or it's a nerdy thing. Like, I don't know. I've showed a lot of people who I never would have thought would really like card games, like really, really get into it.
So how many people on the set do you play with? Like you mentioned that you've got tables going and people bring their decks. Who are you playing with? Who have you introduced to the game? Has there been anybody?
Okay.
Yeah. Hit us with those.
Yeah. So Sholo plays Miguel on Cobra Kai. Gianni DiCenzo, who plays Dimitri. Josa, who plays Kyler. Khalil Everidge, that he plays Chris. Aiden Minks, he plays Penis Breath. I'm forgetting his character's actual name.
Oh, that could be Tan and Grace, actually. That's I'm sorry.
Well, no.
I'm sorry. Different show.
That's his character's real name. That's a part of the joke in the show is we never use his real name. We only ever call him Penis Breath, or Penis Face. But
I like the show already.
Dude, honestly, okay, this is what I'll say. The first episode is, in my opinion, one of our best episodes. So if you watch the first episode and don't like it, you can put down the show. But I think the first episode's a good like grabber.
So you're saying it's worth the $9.99 that I've got to invest?
It's pretty good. I don't know. People like it. People like the show.
I believe.
I play it. My villain in it. Get to see me be like an asshole.
So,
which is kind of fun.
Which is like such a departure from who you are. It's part of it. And one of the things that I have, I like when we're discussing it. What was cool about it is like after we dropped you off in that car ride from hell, which was hilarious, by the way, it was absolutely hilarious. We traded you up for somebody else, basically. Yeah. But we're driving back to the Airbnb, and Blevins was mentioning about how great the show was. He's like, it's not just a throwaway show. It's not just one of these random spin-off reboot kind of nonsense shows that are looking for nostalgia kicks. It's a really damn good show. Everybody I have spoken to who have seen it has said that it is absolutely one of the best shows going right now, and that you have a very integral part to it, and that really lends itself to the success of the show. So again, I feel bad that I haven't watched it, and because to me, if you were somebody who is coming on as an acquaintance and as somebody who is doing me a favor to be on the podcast, that we don't necessarily have a relationship outside of that, I would absolutely go and make sure that I watched the entire thing so I know what the hell I'm talking about. But I'm like, if we're here talking too much about Cobra Kai, I'm not going to be able to make Michael Hamilton Angel of Death jokes. Like, we can't do that. Like that.
That's true. That's true.
So
no, honestly, most of my closest friends have not seen Cobra Kai. Like, not even on purpose. Like, they're just like, I don't know. Like, man. And I'm like, yeah, it's valid. Like, I don't know. I never really was like, hey guys, do you want to watch this show, man? Like, we should watch it together. Like, I feel like that'd be weirder than.
That was me when I started this podcast. I was like, you all better.
Hey guys, you should.
Yeah, click the goddamn everything. You click, you subscribe, you like, and you send me receipts, because this is what I need
everything.
It has to be.
Yeah.
It has to be. Like, I think that Cobra Kai is successful on its own, that you don't need to go there and be like, Flake, if you don't watch this, I will fucking kick you right in the dick. So,
Flake, come on, man. You want to get dick kicked? That's what I thought. You want a spinning dick kick?
Twist his dick.
I don't think you do.
Yeah. I don't. I absolutely do not. There's no appeal in this flying spinning dick kick. I don't think that's definitely not there.
I think that should be your new catchphrase. You say that a lot. Twist his dick.
Twist his dick. True story. Yeah. I got an entire wedding to start yelling "twist his dick" to the beat of a particular. So we all got really hammered. Okay, I was in the wedding party. Yeah, I was in the wedding party for my good friend. He's also in the esports world. This guy named Christo. He does a lot of hosting duties for other card games. It was his wedding. I've known him since kindergarten. I was in his. There was no best man. There was 4 groomsmen, and we all had different roles. I was the speech role guy, which was great because I shredded these mofos. Oh, I shredded them. But the important part was we all got absolutely shit-faced hammered, and the twist his dick thing came up. So every time there was like somebody would like, if there was somebody else giving a speech and it was like, there was like this awkward silence, one of us yelled, "Twist his dick."
When they're like, twist his, or make him way more nervous than he already is.
Well, it started as a to the table, just like loud enough so just the table, like it wasn't like "twist his dick." It was literally like it was like it was silence, and we all just kind of like "twist his dick," and then that kind of basically landslid into this domino effect where whatever song it was like, if it was like Barbara Streisand, like do 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 do, twist his dick, do do do, like we just started. We started it. At
the end of every.
At the end of like wherever we could slide it in. And the best part about it was at one point they played "Do the Twist." Oh my God. We all lost our minds. It's like,
dude, that's a goated DJ right there. He 100% was like, I'm gonna play this for the people.
Well, goated. He was not goated because at the beginning of the show, or of the show, of the wedding festivities, the songs were all absolute ass. And the MC was really trying to get people onto the dance floor. So I was like, hold on. I went to the DJ. I gave him $20. I said, you play 90s hip hop until I tell you to stop. And then
and that'll
and then everybody, as soon as like DMX came on, and I was like, okay, everybody, let's just get this. I'm like, I know we're all white, but we're aware of this music. We enjoy it as well. We will make asses of ourselves, but damn it, this is what works. My man. I just
Twisted Dick weddings.
It was a Twisted Dick wedding. It's a theme wedding.
I love it. It's great. You should be an MC for weddings. That's what you should cast weddings.
I would love to do that. I would love to do that. What was fascinating about that whole thing was that the MC gave me the microphone to do my speech, and he's like, "Have you ever like used the microphone? Do you know how to do it?" I was like, "Bitch, please
give me that shit."
Yeah, and then I did my speech, and then
from the mic.
I was like, "Yes, I got this. Back up. Go roll some more DMX or something. Like, stop it. Like, get out of here." And at the end of it, he's like, he came to talk to me. He's like, "Oh, so are you in broadcasting, or like, do you do this for a living or whatever?" I'm like, "I kind of do," but he's like, "Oh, well, if ever like, you're looking to get into this business," I'm like, "I don't think I want to get into like wedding MC business, because I would probably be making fun of way too many people." I
broadcast journalism in college.
The fascinating sort of trajectory of my career was that getting into university, I applied for broadcast journalism and I got rejected. Mm-hmm. So I went into political science, graduated from there while I was interning at like an ESPN radio style, like radio show in Montreal. Uh-huh. And I did that for a year. And then I ran my college radio station. But meanwhile, they didn't want me for broadcast journalism. So yeah, it's a weird trajectory.
How'd you get into casting?
I got into casting because when I moved from Montreal to Toronto, I didn't know anybody here. I had like one or two friends. It's a big city. It's not easy to sort of get around all the time and whatnot. They had their lives. I had my own that I was doing, but I was like working a 9 to 5. I'd get home and I didn't have anybody to hang out with. So I would play card games online on my own. And then somebody mentioned, he's like, "Dude, you should just stream it." And I said, "Okay." Like, if you're feeling lonely, like that's a good way to sort of.
Yeah.
And that essentially started with Hearthstone, which then turned into Gwent, which then turned into getting an audition to cast Gwent after 2 years of streaming. Like, it took a long time.
Oh, whoa.
Yeah. And so like my first paycheck for casting came after about 2,000 to 3,000 hours of content that I had created. Yeah, that was when I got my first penny, like, was through that. Like, you'll get a couple dollars here and there from Twitch subs, but it's like, it doesn't equate. So that was the long route, which I would imagine for acting is absolutely grueling. I know like one or two actors, and everything I hear, that was something I wanted to get into for a while, but they're just like, yeah, if you're happy to be disappointed for 10 years and then land something. Can you talk to us a little bit about that process of, your first roles? Like, let's start with when you wanted to get into acting. When did that click for you?
So it was my sister. I have an older sister and a younger brother, and my older sister kept bugging my parents saying like, "I want to get into acting. I want to get into acting." And I grew up in Claremont, California. It's like an hour east of like LA. And my parents didn't know anyone in the industry, and they're like, "We don't know what to, like, we can't, like, we don't know what to do." But she kept bugging them. So my mom just kind of Googled child agents for acting and found a list, sent all of them Christmas cards. A couple of them came back, and one of them was like, "We'll hire all 3 of your kids. We'll bring all 3 of your kids on." And so my mom was like, "Okay." So after school one day, she was like, "Hey, we're going to go on an audition. Would you want to do that?" I was in kindergarten. I was 5 years old. I had no idea what that meant. And I was like, "Sure, why not?" So we drive an hour and a half in traffic to LA. I go on this Oscar Mayer audition. Didn't have my 2 front teeth. And I walk in, say the line, and I ended up booking it. And they're like, "Cool, you're going to film Thursday, Friday. You get to skip school." And I was like, "I get to skip school?" Like, hell yeah. I get there, and there's craft services. There's all the candy I could ever want. I only have to do 3 hours of school instead of, a full day of school. And I was like, this is amazing. Like, this is really cool. And that commercial ended up airing on the American Idol season finale that Carrie Underwood won. And that's when American Idol was huge. So I go to school the next day. Everyone saw the commercial of me and they're like, whoa, that's so cool. You're in a commercial. And I was time in kindergarten. I mean, I was super young, but I ended up getting like bullied most of like elementary school, middle school. And that was like a big reason why I loved acting, because I got to be out of school and like not around kids that sucked. But people were like being super cool to me, and they were like, "That's so cool, you're in a commercial." And I was like, "Wow, people are nice to me now. Like, this is so much better. Like, I'm gonna keep doing this." So that's what started it. Was like being able to get out of school and stuff. But then as I started doing, I mainly did comedy like my whole life. Cobra Kai is like one of the first more like dramatic things I've ever done. But as I started doing more like comedy and like fun stuff, I was like, this is a blast. Like, I have so much fun getting to play these like really weird characters or like super angry kids or whatever. Yeah. So then I was like, oh, I actually just really enjoy like the craft of acting. And that happened when I was like 11 or 12. I work with this guy named Casey Sander, who's an amazing actor, been on a ton of huge multicam shows. He's like a very seasoned veteran. He kind of like gave me or taught me like his acting style. And that's when I was really like, whoa, like this is so much bigger than I thought. Like I love doing this. This is my passion. And yeah, I just kind of went from some guest starring stuff and went on Nickelodeon for a bit and then Disney, and then landed Cobra Kai my senior year of high school.
That's so awesome, dude. And I just want to circle back, because one of the things that I'm a big advocate for is, mental health awareness and things like that. Like I personally suffer from depression. I've had a lot of issues, a lot of scares in recent years and whatnot, or along those things. But one of the things that I've always leaned on is the fact that things can get better when you're surrounded by the right people. And you mentioned that you were bullied in school, and this was a nice escape for you. Do you have any advice perhaps for people who might be facing the same kind of challenges? Because I think that it's definitely worth discussing, or at least sort of touching upon, because I was bullied in high school. I was the nerd, the Star Wars kid back before it was cool. I wore my Star Wars shirts, and I became friends with the same kind of circle of nerds who quote unquote played Star Wars, Pokemon cards, things like that, but we weren't popular. It's just a matter of making sure that you have a support system. And even to this day, I'm 37 years old. I have a support system of people who make sure that when it's bleak, that I can at least see the light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah.
What's your advice? What's your experience that you can sort of maybe help somebody else with?
Oh man. I feel like my example is a bad example. Because I did the whole thing of, for years I would, they'd be like, tell the teachers, tell proctors, tell someone. And a lot of the things that I got were, oh, he would never, he comes from a great family, like, stuff like that. And so like nothing ever got done. And my dad's real old school and like put me in karate and stuff. And he was like, dude, come on, like just break his arm. Da, da, da. Actually, what ended up stopping like me getting bullied is I got in a fight and I kind of stood up for myself. And that's sort of what stopped people from messing with me. But I still think the act of like letting other people know, like, my dad was my hero growing up, and he's a big dude. And, I was really nervous to tell him about that I was getting bullied because it made me feel so small and so weak. But it's like hearing from my mom and dad that like, hey, like my mom got bullied when she was in high school, and like just having someone to relate to and like someone to talk to about those things, I think is really, really important. And, even if it's not your parents, if it's a friend, if it's a teacher, like I do think telling people is really important. But, I don't know, violence is not good. It's very rarely the answer, but, I definitely think you should stick up for yourself.
All right. You heard it here first from Hawk on Cobra Kai that violence is not not the answer.
Strike first, strike hard, no mercy.
There you go. Oh, dude.
Advice for people getting bullied.
Well, and look, the important part here is, like you mentioned, is communication, and it's
Yeah.
unfortunate that the people that you told just brushed it off. But I think that is a narrative that's changing. You're a lot younger than I am, and even when I was in school, it was the same thing. It was like telling somebody was worse.
It was like it made it worse.
Because if you were found out, it's just adding layers to your getting gooned by somebody, and that was never a fun thing. But
they're better with like handling that type of stuff, I will say.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, like, and a lot of that is because of people like yourself who talk about this stuff, and that's important. Normalizing the fact that not everybody is A-okay and not everybody's happy, and that there are shitheads out there who are going to try to capitalize on other people's grief, and that's unfortunate. But
yeah, I was such a tiny kid. Oh my God, I was so small, and I wore like yellow skinny jeans and like big ass Doc Martens that were way too big for me, and I just looked super weird. And I think I was definitely an easy target. And I was like, I'm an actor.
A true thespian. What a real absolutely, dude. Yeah, I went to high school in the era of gigantic, enormous baggy jeans and oversized T-shirts with the pictures of Looney Tunes characters on them that had like backwards gangster poses and stuff. That was absolutely my go-to kind of that. And
is that what you wore?
I did, yeah.
Baggy jeans with the oversized Star Wars
Oh
shirt.
my God, yeah, the over, like, I have some of those shirts because, like, to me it's like, okay, it's a really cool Star Wars shirt, and like I'll be doing like spring cleaning and just find a like some of my old clothes, and I'll be like, oh dude, this shirt is so rad. It's got like the old school Star Wars logo on it. Then I put it on. I'm like, how fat was I? And then I realized, like, no, it was the actual style.
The style.
Yeah, it's like XL.
You should bring it back. You should just cast in that in next time. Just like, you just stand up the whole time and just be like, oh yeah, interesting play by the Briar player.
Yeah, that was it with my and what's cool about it is, like, back in the day, if you wore a shirt or a sweater that's like with Champion on it, like, that was like the loser brand. Champion was what the losers wore.
Like a Kmart brand or something, right?
Yeah, you bought that
back
out of
the day. Yeah,
you took that off the rack at Walmart for like $7.99. You get that sweater. You show up to school. People are like, that's not Nike, you freaking loser. And and you look back on it now and you're like, dude, $7.99 for a sweater. I don't care what's on it. Like,
you're like, it's great.
Yeah,
like,
amazeballs, incredible. Sign me the fuck up, like, in a heartbeat. The other thing I just want to get into before we move on to the Go Again uncensored craziness segment, is this, acting, getting into it. There's a lot of people that will say, I can do that. And that's not to say that they can't. But you mentioned that there was this epiphany that you had when somebody showed you a little bit of the ropes, and you said, holy Moses, there's so much more to this that people don't know about, that it's so much deeper and there's so much effort and whatnot. I sometimes get this with casting because I get that, like, you get it a lot. It's just like, it seems like a very natural thing. But when you're good at something, it feels and looks natural. It's the same way that you can look at LeBron James, or Steph Curry just draining threes at half court, and it looks so easy. But there's a lot of work behind that. Can you talk a little bit about the harder part, the hidden part of acting that somebody might not be aware of? They might just say, I want to go try an audition and maybe land a gig. And you got that Oscar Mayer Wiener commercial, which I'm going to be Googling after the show. Can you tell us a little bit about the process and some of those pitfalls that people might want to tiptoe around?
Super quick. I've actually tried looking for it and I can't find it anywhere.
I was going to ask you.
Great.
I was going to ask you if you had anything about that. Yeah.
Really great Claritin commercial I did when I was young that you can find. I've seen it on YouTube a couple years ago. It's like a grape flavored non-drowsy Claritin. That's really funny. That if you can find it, it's pretty good. But this is the thing that I really like about acting, because like the sort of minute detail, like quote unquote hard part about it is, to me, the fun part about it. Like, that's the part that is really exciting. And it's sort of like, there's a lot of different processes to try to create a character. But like the act of creating a character, like I just started getting into, like, I'm actually not a thespian. Like I never did plays growing up or anything like that. But I just sort of started getting into that, and it's similar and different to on screen acting and like film acting. But just like tiny little things, like little ticks your character does, like deciding how your character is going to be and like creating a backstory for them, and figuring out everything that someone says about your character, and then everything that you say like in the script, like what other people say about your character and what you say about your character, and just like looking at that and trying to flesh out a complete person through that, and then taking that, trying to like live in that person. I feel like I sound super like woo, but it's just fun, like trying to live in that person and then having that manifest in like different physical idiosyncrasies, like little ticks, like how reacting to certain things, and like how if someone is talking to you about a certain subject or something that makes you feel uncomfortable, like how that person would react in that moment. Or like I really like improv. I think improv is a really, really good skill to have as an actor. Like just right now, like you and me have improv this whole thing. Like there was no script for it because we know who we are and we're comfortable talking to each other. So that's like a point that, for a character that I play, I want to, be able to do that at all times. Like for Hawk, I think, he's a pretty proud little guy. He's got a 9-inch mohawk and he loves to show it off. But like one little minute thing that like I have for him is like he's always standing in like a little pseudo fighting stance just because he thinks he's hot shit and he's a little fighter, like just something like that. It's like that already like instills like confidence of like, hey, if someone went down, like I would fuck some people up. So like he walks around constantly thinking that.
That was your influence on the character, right? Like that was your way of just saying, okay, how do I inject my own interpretation of who Hawk is? That was something that you did, or was that instructed to you that to stand that way or to present yourself that way?
That type of stuff is more like the actor who does that. And then sometimes like this hasn't happened specifically for like on set of Cobra Kai thing, but sometimes like you'll start going a direction. Someone will be like, hey, like we actually see it like going this way or whatever. But no, yeah, that type of stuff are things that the writers like usually love. Like there was one of my favorite scenes in all of Cobra Kai. If you only watch one thing, just look up Hawk fights Brooks. That's my favorite scene ever. It's just a scene where I beat the shit out of this kid. And in the scene, I'm on top of him and I'm beating him up. And he's a kid that used to bully me. And I beat him up. And then the camera's on this platform and it's like we're really low angle and I'm kneeling on top of it. And I kind of stand up. And then as I'm you can't see the body, but I'm pretending to like step over the body. And as I'm stepping over it, I like spit on like where the kid would be. And it was just like a little improv moment that I did. But I just remember the writers at Video Village were like, they like loved that little moment. And they like reframed. We did another take because they had to like reframe the camera because they really wanted to see me spitting on this kid after I just almost murdered him. Stuff like that.
I feel like that's basically like Michael Hamilton round 1 of Worlds is the same thing.
So it's like,
yeah, spit, get out of here, scrub. Yeah. So yeah, go sign up for The Calling. You'll be playing it tomorrow, you loser. Like that's
have fun in the battle hardened.
Jesus Christ. Jacob, you're an absolute gem, my friend. Before we kind of move along to the Patreon exclusive Go Again segment where Jacob's going to sort of pull the veil off. We're going to release the ponies, buddy.
We're getting into it.
Hit us up where we can get more Jacob Bertrand. I mean, obviously Cobra Kai is successful. You can catch him playing Hawk on Cobra Kai, but this is a Flesh and Blood podcast, man. So we got to talk about the important stuff. Your acting career, no one cares. We want to talk. We want to talk about Flesh and Blood. So where can we find more of you in the Flesh and Blood community?
Actually, I don't even. It was funny when we were at dinner. You were like, I was like, I don't have a Twitter, and you're like, who the fuck did I follow then? And I was like, well, I have a Twitter, I just never use it. So I don't even know the
Kadachi Monger.
Kadachi Monger. There we go. That's my Flesh and Blood Twitter. Everybody come follow me. I have a TikTok that I never use. That's Jacob Bertrand. I have an Instagram that I also kind of never use. That's the Jacob Bertrand. But I'm really more active on Twitter. You should follow 3 Floating on YouTube. You should subscribe. It's also 3 Floating on Twitter. We got gameplay videos coming out every 2 weeks. Trying to make it once a week, usually every Monday. Yeah, come check us out.
I love it because like 80% of that was just stuff you don't use. Like I was just waiting for you to be like,
Yeah.
I got like a skateboard I don't use. There's a Peloton I also don't use.
I got a Vimeo that I'm not really active on. I got a MySpace that I don't know the password to.
I could vote. I don't do that. Like I could do all this stuff.
Yeah.
Not important. But thank you so much, my friend. And for all of those who are Patreon members, don't forget you can go to the Go Again segment. It's an uncensored conversation. Questions have been pouring in for you, so we're going to dig into those. You can check those out at patreon.com/instantspeedpod. Tier 2 plus will get you access to all the shenanigans. And friend, thank you so much for being on the show.
Become a patron, guys. This segment's going to be good.
Oh, I love it. I love it. That was actually one of the questions that we're going to get into after. But friends, again, thank you to our sponsors, FAB Cards. Go check out kfabecards.com, as well as our wonderful sponsors at BCW Supplies. Use the code ISP10. Get 10% off of all of your purchases at BCW Supplies. Friends, don't forget, you're not losing if you're learning. So keep playing the game. You might win. We'll see you next time on ISP.